right, there we are. We are live. Welcome to the Happy Wife School show. Thank you for your patience as I kind of wrapped up and had some last minute changes and need a little more time with my planning this morning. So thank you so much. And we'll get started. So today we're talking about good men, or you are an inconvenient accessory. Here's why good men have to beg for sex. And that's where we're going to go today. Excited to get into our topic. You might notice my voice is a little off, so we'll hope we can get through it all right without a coughing attack or my voice going out. And a couple announcements before I get started. If you haven't already, please check out the Happy Wife School show on Spotify and give it a like there. Rate it if you haven't. I would appreciate that so much. And also, if you or a loved one struggles with an autoimmune disease or chronic illness and you are frustrated with your Western medicine or alternative medicine practices for symptom management, you want to check out my colleague, Josie Warren, the autoimmune expert, where she teaches people to permanently heal from autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses. And you can check out the links below to sign up for a free consultation with her, to check out her free Autoimmune 101 course. And also you will find a link to her YouTube channel, which is the Autoimmune Expert. So please go check Josie out. And I'm going to check the chat here just to make sure I'm coming through okay. You guys can hear me loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you so much, Phil. Good to see everyone in the chat. Of course, always a big thank you to Steve and Phil for being incredible moderators. Love grows. Nice to see you. Mike 88GT, Monica. So nice to have you guys here. And now that I know that you guys can hear me and see me okay, I do have a change to share with you. And I can feel as I share it, I might get a little emotional because of how grateful I've been to you as an audience and being here live each week. So I have a change in how I'm going to be presenting my content. The Happy Wife School isn't going anywhere. I'm still going to be making content and making my videos. However, with my schedule and some new endeavors with the Happy Wife School that I am creating, I'm still going to be posting my content on YouTube. However, I am not going to be doing the live show on Saturdays any longer. And today is the last live show. And so while I know that might be like, oh my goodness, that I didn't expect that, I wanted to share that with you guys today and just thank you so much. I've been doing the live show for 2.5 years now. And it's been an incredible experience for me of growing in my message, growing my confidence and wisdom in my message and what I have to teach women and good men about marriages. And of course, being able to connect with you guys live on Saturdays and having you show up each week and be here and getting to know you all a little bit in that way has been just a wonderful experience. And I want to give my heartfelt thank you for this opportunity and this wonderful way that I presented my content for a long time. And now it's time to change directions a little bit. But like I said, the Happy Wife School is not going anywhere. The YouTube channel's not going anywhere. I just won't have the live aspect of my channel any longer. And so I wanted to share that with you guys up front. And then I know we'll chat a little bit at the end. Phil's still going to send me some questions today and comments. And of course, just a big round of applause to Phil and Steve and the incredible job that they have done in the chat for so long for these years. And I know how much you guys appreciate them and all that they have added to the Saturday live show. So with that being said, let's get into the topic for today, which is you are an inconvenient accessory. Here is why good men have to beg for sex. And the reason that I want to talk about this today is that I was talking to a good man this week, and he shared how he stopped begging his wife for sex because he always had to ask, was constantly trying to fix the issue of sex with his wife, and repeatedly being told no over and over again, being given all the excuses that we give as women in marriage. And the rejection became too painful, that constantly begging and asking for sex and constantly getting rejected became too painful for him. And so he stopped asking for sex, which is important for good men to know, that that is your wife's end goal. That if you are like most men out there and have a wife who has stopped having sex, or sex is completely on her terms and intermittent and not consistent, and she'd be happy to never have sex again, her constant rejection of you in sex and all the excuses is her end goal. And so for the good men listening, your wife's rejection of you with sex and your experience of feeling you have to beg for sex and then constantly getting rejected is far more common in a marriage than having regular sex. Your wife withholding sex, or even being in a sexless marriage, which is defined as sex as less than 10 times in a year, and the constant rejection that you face with sex is far more common in a marriage than having regular sex. And what I have noticed in working with good men and talking with good men is that you're thinking that it's just your wife and just your marriage that sex is such a big issue, because you might look around and see friends, family, couples out in public, and you're seeing the facade of a happy couple, because in general, that's what we do in the public face and being around others, is we present in our marriage a happy, loving relationship. And so you think, wow, they seem so happy and they must be having regular sex. She looks like she loves him so much, and I bet they don't have this issue of a sexless marriage or sex being such a problem. But it's really, really important that you know that that is the predominant experience of a good man in a marriage, is not having sex, it being a sexless marriage, or sex being very inconsistent, or your wife being completely disengaged in sex if she is still having it. That you want to see this as common, and to know that you're to not fall for the happy facade that you see in other couples. And it's what I commonly teach good men, that you did not marry the wrong woman. You married a woman, and on a spectrum. These are the issues that good men face in a marriage with a woman, and specifically what we're talking about today is around sex. So we're going to talk about why this happened to you as a good man in your marriage, so that you know you are not alone, and pulling back the curtain of what goes on behind closed doors in a marriage, so that you begin to realize this is the reality of marriage, not the fantasy of the facades that you see. And this is such a hard reality to come to in a marriage, because here's the truth. Women know that having sex with a man is a fundamental requirement for us to get married. and that women get married not because we enjoy sex with you, but because we know that it is a necessity for men to fall in love with us and for them to ask us to marry them. We are very aware as women that no man would ever marry us if we didn't have sex with him. And even for Christian couples who have the value of waiting until marriage to have sex, the woman will still tease him with almost everything but, or the way in which she talks about sex and her excitement for sex after getting married, so that he can imagine what it will be like and believe what is coming ahead when they get married. And so even a Christian woman, that even a Christian woman who is waiting until marriage will still use and has plenty of ways to use sex as a tool to get the man because she knows it's a necessity for the man to fall in love with her and ask her to marry him. And please give me just a second. I'm sorry, guys. This has been a continued challenge I've been having. So I give me just a moment so I can not have this cough coming up. Hopefully I won't have to get up again today like I did last time. All right. So as women, knowing that a man will not marry us if we don't have sex with them, or the promise of sex and good sex after marriage, is the sad truth is that men get married to have sex. Women get married so they can stop having sex. The sad truth is that men get married to have sex. Women get married so they can stop having sex. What this means is that pre-marriage, men believe that women are really enjoying the sex that they are having, and that it will continue, and it will evolve and continue to be wonderful and get even better. When in reality, pre-marriage, women are using sex as a tool and faking their experience of sex to get the man. And here's what I want you to know for the good men listening. That if your wife really enjoyed sex before marriage, she would still enjoy it after marriage. How you can know your wife was faking it before getting married is that if she really enjoyed sex with you before marriage, she would still enjoy it after marriage, even if it changes as it does and the realities of life set in. She would still make it a priority. She would still enjoy it with the changes and evolution of life after marriage. She would still initiate it. She would still be affectionate and physically touching you and being affectionate in that way. So you can know that she was faking it when she has stopped having sex or is disengaged and it's clear she's just doing it as a checklist And that's how you can know, so that you can accept the reality, because it's only from knowing and being grounded in the reality of your marriage and what's really going on with sex that you as a good man can begin to heal and accept the reality and navigate it based on your values and no longer take it personally, which is where the emotional pain of it comes from. So the question is, why? Why, as women, do we play this charade with sex? And for the good men listening, why did your wife play this charade, which is an absurd pretense intended to create a pleasant or respectable appearance? That's the definition of a charade, an absurd pretense intended to create a pleasant or respectable appearance, which is what we play, the charade of sex, before getting married. So the unspoken truth for good men is that you are an inconvenient accessory. The unspoken truth for good men is that you are an inconvenient accessory. Let me explain. Women get married for 3 primary reasons. Women get married for 3 primary reasons. Number 1 is to get married, meaning it's to check it off our list of what we think is going to make us happy and fulfill our fantasy of love. The second primary reason we get married as women, number 2, is to have children, which are a built-in excuse so we don't have to make something of ourselves and our lives. And number 3, the third primary reason of why we get married, is to be taken care of and then cash out. That we play the game of marriage and use our society's laws with marriage and divorce to our advantage. That it's a premeditated plan. The cash out is a premeditated plan to be taken care of. So to interpret these 3 reasons for you of why women get married, none of which you can hear, none of which are falling in love and committing to be a wife, is that you are an inconvenient accessory because she needed you to achieve these goals. And you need to know, if she really loved you and wanted to be your wife, you would be having regular engaged sex. She would treat you with respect, value you as a man, and show you affection every day. If she really loved you and wanted to be your wife, you would be having regular engaged sex. She would treat you with respect, value you as a man, and show you affection every day. So the purpose of knowing these very difficult truths as a good man is so you can begin to see the reality of what's happening in your marriage and why you feel treated so poorly, why you feel less important than the furniture in your home, is because you are an inconvenient accessory and you're begging for sex or just completely perplexed as to what happened and why your wife doesn't want sex anymore when she used to enjoy it, and trying to understand and figure out, what did I do? What can I do? What do I need to change? What do I need to fix? Which is an endless rabbit hole that will never solve the problem, is realizing that she used sex as a tool to get you because she knew she had to. We all know that. That you would never marry her without sex or the promise of sex and it being an important part of the relationship, which is why we play this charade and then we get married and sex stops and you feel like an inconvenient accessory and feel you have to beg for sex. So it's understanding the reality that lets you move forward and understand what's happening and no longer take it personally that it's something you did or need to stop doing or change that will fix it, because it won't. So where we want to go next are 10 things your wife doesn't want you to know about her and sex. And as we get into this, please be sure to like this video so it helps the algorithm get my message out to more people. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the important content that I get out to help you in your marriage. So before we get into the 10 things your wife doesn't want you to know about her and sex, is for good men to understand the reason why you have a sexless marriage, or you're still begging for sex and maybe at best having intermittent sex, but being rejected all the time, is because the sad truth is that men get married to have sex. Women get married so they can stop having sex. Men get married to have sex. Women get married so they can stop having sex. It's the differences in our wiring and how we are as women and men. Where pre-marriage, you're stuck believing as a man that the woman you're with is really enjoying sex. And she's going to continue to enjoy sex. And it's going to continue to evolve and continue to be wonderful and get even better after marriage. When in reality, pre-marriage, as women, we use sex as a tool and fake our experience of sex to get the man and the marriage. So here are 10 truths your wife does not want you to know about her and sex. Number 1, she does not know what she likes with sex. She doesn't even know her own body. Number 2, she only had sex with you to get married. She never really enjoyed it. Number 3, she perceived you as a sperm donor so she could have kids. Number 4, she does not need to be warmed up. There is no romance or foreplay needed for her to enjoy sex. Number 5, every time she has sex, she feels like she is giving a part of herself away because she only has sex because she feels she has to. Number 6, she does not need a sex drive to enjoy sex. Number 7, all her excuses she gives you for why she doesn't feel like having sex, like a headache or being tired or hormones, are just telling you she doesn't want to have sex with you. The excuses are not real. Number 8, every time she has sex, she is faking it until she becomes a starfish in bed. Number 9, sex is not even on her list of what is important to her in the marriage. She would be fine never having sex again. That is her secret wish as a woman. And number 10 of the truths your wife doesn't want you to know about her and sex. Number 10, she doesn't love you anymore. Because she would have regular, engaged sex with you if she did. It would be an expression of her love for you. So those are the 10 truths about your wife and sex, which are 10 massive truth bombs that as I was preparing and planning this, it was almost knocking me out with the truth in this. So we want to talk a little bit about the solution, and I'm going to talk to the women because I know that what I shared today is hard for us to hear and admit about ourselves. I've been there. And it's hard to go back and see the charade that we played around sex and how we used it to get our husbands to fall in love with us so that we could get married for our own agendas of our end game. So this is a red pill moment, because as women, and if you're watching and you're open-minded and you're watching because you want to learn and you want to change, then it means you want to figure out for yourself what happened to me. Because these truths, even though we know what we're doing, when we slow down and look in hindsight, we know what we're doing as women. But the problem is we suppress the truth of our experience and how we show up and how we behave in a marriage or relationship with a good man, because it's perceived to be too painful to see the truth of our experience and the charade that we pull with sex. But if you're here and you're still listening, good for you. It means you want to learn and you want to see these hard truths and to know this doesn't have to be the truth of who we are as women. That even though we have this wiring and this is how we operate, that we can change. And it's not the truth of who we are underneath our walls and the facade that we live behind. That there's a whole other experience of ourselves that's waiting to be tapped into, which is the purpose of being red pilled, so we can tap in to the truth of that experience. And you're wondering, and all that suppression of how we show up and not wanting to see the truth, and in this case around our charade with sex, is that you're wondering too, what happened to me? Because that's where I was. I know that because that's where I was. That when I got married and I stopped wanting to have sex and did it as a should and did it as a checklist, I was in turmoil inside myself, wondering what was wrong with me. Why did I stop having sex? Why don't I enjoy it like I used to? Where did that part of me go? And so this is to help you, even though I presented this to the men today, this is to help you to understand, because it was a charade. The sex was the tool that you used to get your husband and to get married. So once you got what you wanted, the walls went up, you're completely disinterested in sex, and that's why it's so hard to have sex, or why you stopped having sex completely. So the solution for us that we have to accept as women is that we have to move from camp victim, where we are blaming our experience of sex, blaming our husbands for our experience of sex, blaming our husbands for the problems with sex in our marriage, and putting the problem outside of us, which shuts us down to sex. I don't want to have it. I don't want anything to do with it. I wish I didn't have to. That's our experience when we live in camp victim. So if you know you withhold sex, you know it's very hard for you to engage with sex, or you wish you never had to have it again, or you'd be happy to never have it again, it's because you're living in camp victim around sex, that you've always had sex for the man, and because you knew it's what you had to do to get what you wanted, whether that was feeling loved or desired, or the end goal of getting married, and the different reasons I talked about of why we want to get married as women. We're living in camp victim. We've never had sex for ourselves. It's something we had to do. So we feel it's put upon us and a burden for us as women, which is why we have to move to camp take responsibility, which first step is I've created the experience I have of sex. I've created my walls around sex. I never had sex for the right reasons, which is why I feel the way I feel about sex. So when we stop blaming our past, we stop blaming our husband, we stop blaming our marriage, we stop blaming being a woman and our experience of sex, and we take responsibility that I'm in control of my experience of sex, then what happens is you can actually learn to enjoy sex. That the true nature underneath all the hard truths I shared today about us as women and sex, the truth underneath that is that we do enjoy sex. That when we stop having it for the wrong reasons and have it for the right reasons of expressing our love and sharing that with our husbands and our marriages, and understanding that we are made with all the right parts to enjoy sex and for it to be a pleasurable experience, you will find that you do truly enjoy sex, and that you can learn to enjoy it for yourself and learn what you like and learn your body and learn to be open to it and choose to have it. Which when we live and can't take responsibility around sex, that's why we don't need foreplay. We don't need to be warmed up. That's actually what we use, and a myth we've been sold that we've bought into to make sex complicated and to make it overwhelming so we can't figure it out and learn to enjoy it for ourselves. When you realize it's just that you do enjoy it and you have all the right parts to enjoy it, and maybe you need some help as you get older and things start to change and our bodies change, then you support yourself in that way. But then you can realize, no, we actually really do enjoy sex. And it's very simple. Once you can just make that choice, that's why we don't need foreplay. We don't need to be warmed up. We can jump in, and it makes it so much easier and simpler. So it's not complicated. We want to make it complicated with being warmed up and foreplay and all the things that we think we need, the romance, because it actually creates a barrier to not have it and make it unenjoyable. That's why I didn't say it in the list, because I wanted it to be serious, to have the impact I wanted it to have. But if you imagine your heartthrob, your celebrity heartthrob, I joke, Ryan Gosling, and that if your heartthrob was right there ready to be with you, you wouldn't need any foreplay. You'd just be ready to go. And we can have that experience when we move from camp victim to camp take responsibility, to learn to enjoy sex for ourselves, and then share that with our husbands so that they feel loved, appreciated, and respected as the good men that they are. And the first step in moving from camp victim to camp take responsibility is what I teach women in my happiness program. And it's as simple as, you don't have to work on sex. That's the good news, because that will make you overwhelmed. You don't have to work on sex. When you move from camp victim to camp take responsibility, you go from not feeling good about yourself to feeling good about who you are, and you want to do the healthy things for you in your life, like have sex and enjoy sex with your husband in your marriage. So you can check out the link to my happiness program in the description below and apply for a consultation with me. And then in speaking to the good men, because these are very, very hard truths to hear today and to understand about why you feel you have to beg for sex, and being completely perplexed as to why your wife doesn't want sex anymore or is disengaged, or you are living the reality of a sexless marriage. The solution, the first step, is knowing this is what's predominantly common in marriage between a woman and a good man. It's the reality of a marriage. And the importance of a good man knowing that is so that you do not live in camp victim around the experience of sex in your marriage, because that's then what continues to make you feel powerless and trapped and no solution forward. When you can see this is the reality and the predominant reality of marriages, then you can begin to accept and see the reality, not be a victim to it. And then based on your values is what I teach men. If this is the reality in your marriage and your wife isn't changing, then you have to make decisions on what your values are. If your value is, I've made a commitment and a vow before God and divorce isn't an option, then you have to learn to navigate in the relationship knowing that your wife is disinterested in sex and that this is the reality of what it's going to be, especially if she's the majority of women who are not willing to change, so that you can navigate the reality. And then it no longer becomes personal. You can accept it and retire from trying to make her happy and put the energy that you're putting into trying to do the things to make her happy so that you get sex and that connection and intimacy with her that never work to make her happy. Then you retire from doing those things. Doesn't mean you stop being a good husband, stop being a good man, but you stop jumping through the hoops trying to make her happy, thinking that maybe if you do just enough, maybe if you do this one thing she's asking, she'll finally be happy and you guys can start having sex again. That's what will keep you in camp victim and keep you feeling crushed and devastated around what's happening. When you see the reality and you're choosing to stay, then retiring from making her happy so you can accept the reality is what allows you to navigate the reality and stay healthy and grounded in yourself. And here's the key thing for good men. Don't stop asking. Don't stop asking, because having regular engaged sex with your wife is reasonable. And it's the trap she's setting for you to get you to stop asking. When you understand she's the problem in it, she's the problem in sex, not you, then you can overcome the devastating feelings of rejection, knowing that it's reasonable for you to ask for sex. It's reasonable that she have regular engaged sex with you. And while you can't make her, don't fall into her trap of her end game of what she's trying to do to get you to stop asking for sex or let the issue go. And of course, you can draw a line in the sand. If you're with a woman who is disengaged with sex, not re-engaging, and you're choosing to stay, and she's made it clear in a myriad of ways that she has no interest in re-engaging with sex, then that's why you say, okay, if not going to have sex, then I'm not going to do these things anymore. We're going to stop going out to dinners. We're going to stop going on vacations, as examples, and not as a victim. Just, hey, this is an important part of the relationship for me, and these are some of the things that I do for you. So if you can't reciprocate what's reasonable and healthy in a marriage, then I'm not going to do these things any longer. And you draw that line in the sand so that you're no longer giving that power away to her. And you might be saying, all of this sounds very difficult. I don't feel strong enough in myself. I don't quite understand. You might still feel caught up in the brainwashing of your wife that you are the problem in the marriage and relationship. Then that's why I have my course for good men, so that you can rebuild your strength and confidence and learn the tools and roadmap to be able to navigate these issues in a marriage and gain clarity on the likely outcome of your marriage, so that you have the tools that if you're choosing to stay with your wife who is not going to change, you need the tools and roadmap to be able to navigate it, so that you are no longer emasculated and gaslit into believing that you are the problem, and you need to reconnect with yourself as a good man and regain that strength and confidence. And you can find the link to my men's course in the description below to learn more about it and apply for a free consultation. And there we have it. As my voice is almost completely out, there's our wrap for the final live show. As I said, doesn't mean that my content's going anywhere, just evolving in a new direction. So the live aspect isn't going to be here on the channel any longer, but you can still engage in the comments and with me in that way. And there'll still be regular content. So if you like today's episode, please hit the like button. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And I'm going to head over to the chat for a moment after a sip of water. And I believe Phil is going to send me some questions and comments. All right. Good. Okay. Oh, good. You guys are chatting in the chat. Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you, sweet home. Zion, thank you so much. Your last live show is exactly what I needed to hear right now. Thank you, Phil. Phil said questions and comments sent. Stephanie, I'll miss you guys live too, but stay tuned. There's going to be some new directions of having contact with me and community around the Happy Wife School. So there's new things coming, guys. So pay attention, and I will announce those changes as we move forward. Oh, thank you so much, Luke. You're a treasure, Karen, and thank your good man, Adam, also. I will. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to head over to the questions and comments. Thanks, Steve. I just saw your comment come through. This channel was a game changer. It will continue to be. So thank you so much. Yeah, I hope this cough and stuff goes away soon too. It's been very, very challenging. So, all right. Thank you, Phil. Yeah. Huh. That is. Thank you, Phil. It is daylight savings time. So for those who live where daylight saving is, be sure to change your clocks tonight. That's a great reminder. It's one of my favorite times of the year because I like it when it's light outside longer. Will the live programming remain a part of the website channel? Yes. So that's the great news, guys, with the live shows. That live tab is still going to be there. And we have an incredible catalog of the important topics that I've spoken to in that live or long format content with the live shows. That's not going anywhere. So that's still going to be on the channel, and you can refer to that any time that you need it. That will be there. And then my link to send questions is still going to be there. If you want to apply for a one-on-one session with me or the courses, that's still going to be there. And then, like I said, stay tuned. There's some exciting things coming for there to be community around the Happy Wife School. So just keep an eye out for that. Funny question, Jeff. How can I transplant your character into my wife? Thanks for the laugh. And love grows. Thank you for such a lovely comment, Karen. I just want to thank you for saving my life, my marriage, and for getting me to a deep place of reflection and how I'm showing up every day. I'm going to truly miss the lives. Thank you so much for that lovely comment. Love grows, and I think that's a great place to wrap up, and just thank you guys so much, and stay tuned for what's to come. Exciting things to come where you can still interact and communicate, so wait for that. And just thank you so much. It's an ending of a chapter with stopping the live format on my channel. And just thank you guys so much for being along for the ride and the different places and topics that it's taken us. And I look forward to continuing forward in new ways with you and growing as a community. I hope you have a wonderful